Chosen one, you are not here by accident, and you did not arrive at this moment by chance. Heaven itself has arranged this meeting, aligning time, breath, and awareness so you would hear this now. What you are sensing in your spirit is not imagination, it is recognition. A door stands before you, unseen but already unlocked, and the timing of it has been sealed beyond human interference. Chosen one, there is movement around your life that did not begin today. Decisions have been made in places you could not enter. Words have been spoken where you were not present. What was delayed was not denied, and what was hidden was never lost. Scripture reminds us that the vision waits for its appointed time, and though it seems slow, it will surely come. That hour has drawn near. Anointed one, you are standing at the edge of a sudden shift. What has felt heavy is about to be lifted. What has felt silent is about to speak. This is not merely comfort but transfer, not just relief but realignment. What heaven releases next is designed to change the way you walk, the way you see, and the way you are received. Chosen one, God does not always strengthen us through explanations or noise. Sometimes the most faithful reminder is quiet, simple, and steady, something the soul can return to without effort. What has been prepared rests here, waiting in peace. Chosen one, something has been shifting around you that you could not force and you could not fake, and that is how you know it is real. It is not loud, it is not chaotic, it is the quiet rearranging that happens when heaven puts its hand on a timeline and starts moving what was stuck. You may not have the full picture yet, but you have felt the pressure, the subtle tension in your chest, the strange sense that a chapter is closing while another is trying to open. That feeling is not weakness, it is awareness. Anointed one, there are seasons where your life looks the same on the outside, but inside you can tell the room has changed. You wake up and you are doing the same tasks, answering the same messages, carrying the same responsibilities, yet your spirit keeps whispering that something is near. In those seasons, I learned not to chase signs. I learned to watch patterns. The way certain people start resurfacing, the way certain opportunities return with new energy, the way your name begins to travel without you trying. I have lived through moments where I did nothing but stay faithful in silence, and then suddenly a call came through that I did not schedule. An apology arrived that I stopped expecting. A door opened that I had stopped knocking on. Not because I was special, but because timing belongs to God. Chosen one, what is coming toward you is not only about a person. It can be a person, yes, but it can also be truth. It can be clarity. It can be the release that makes you exhale again. There are things you have been carrying that were never meant to become permanent, and heaven does not let burdens sit on the shoulders of the called forever. Scripture has a rhythm for this. The vision has an appointed time. It does not lie. It does not rush. It arrives when you are ready to hold it. This is why your waiting has felt like stretching. You were not being ignored. You were being positioned. Anointed one, I want to speak to the part of you that has been doing the right thing while still feeling tired. That is the part that kept showing up when nobody clapped. That is the part that stayed honest when it would have been easier to perform. That is the part that kept your heart clean when disappointment tried to make you cynical. I know what that costs. It costs sleep. It costs your appetite sometimes. It costs your ability to explain yourself to people who only understand results. But it also builds something in you. It builds authority that does not need permission. Chosen one, now hear this with reverence. Heaven does not elevate you to impress people. Heaven elevates you to align your life with what you were built to carry. That alignment can look like a sudden connection that brings you into the right room. It can look like resources being released through a new role, a new contract, a new client, a new idea that finally lands. It can look like divine favor that makes the same work produce different fruit. But it starts in the unseen. Before the transfer is visible, your discernment gets sharper. Your tolerance for confusion gets lower. Your spirit starts rejecting what used to entertain you. This is not moodiness. This is calibration. Anointed one, there is also something else happening. People who misjudged you are being forced to reconsider. Not because you begged them to, but because truth has a weight. When you remove yourself, your absence teaches them what your presence used to cover. Sometimes they feel it as regret. Sometimes they feel it as restlessness. Sometimes they feel it as the inability to move forward without facing what they avoided. I have watched this happen in real life. The same person who acted indifferent suddenly speaks with a trembling voice. The same place that overlooked you suddenly tries to call you back. The same door that stayed shut suddenly has a key. Not every return is meant to be received, but every return is meant to reveal. Chosen one. This is where you must stay clean and stay clear, because when truth comes knocking, it often arrives wrapped in emotion. A message may come, a conversation may happen, a confession may surface, and it will test you in a different way than lack ever did. Lack tests your faith. Return tests your boundaries. Elevation tests your stewardship. And this is why heaven has been training your inner world, because what is coming will require you to respond without collapsing into old patterns. Anointed one, let me ground this for you. Picture a normal day. You are in your home. You are handling your routine. Then your phone lights up, or there is a knock, or an email arrives, and suddenly you realize this moment carries weight. Your body knows before your mind catches up. Your stomach tightens, your breath changes, your hands get cold. You stare at the screen 1 extra second. That is not superstition. That is your nervous system recognizing a turning point. When I learned to honor that moment, I stopped rushing. I stopped over-explaining. I stopped trying to control how the story would end. I simply listened, and I watched what was true reveal itself. Chosen one. The surprise is not here to destabilize you. It is here to expose what has been hidden, to return what has been delayed, and to place you back in alignment with what was always yours. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not the thing itself, but the clarity that comes with it. The kind of clarity that ends a season of questioning, the kind of closure that shuts the door without bitterness, the kind of breakthrough that makes you say, "Now I understand why I could not force it." Anointed one, stay with me in this, because the next layer is not just what is approaching you, but how to recognize it without losing your peace. There is a difference between divine movement and emotional noise, and you are about to learn that difference in a way you will never forget. Chosen one. What comes next will not announce itself with chaos or spectacle. Divine movement rarely does. It arrives with precision, and it tests whether you can stay grounded when everything inside you wants to react. This is the difference between emotional impulse and spiritual discernment. When heaven steps in, it does not rush you. It steadies you. If you have felt unusually calm even while sensing something big approaching, that is not detachment. That is preparation. Anointed one, there is a pattern I have learned to recognize through lived experience. Before a real shift, the noise around you gets louder, but your inner world gets quieter. You stop needing to explain yourself. You stop chasing confirmation. You stop asking people to choose you. This is not because you no longer care, but because something in you knows that what is coming cannot be negotiated or manipulated. It must arrive clean, and that requires you to be clean too. Chosen one. There is also a reason your intuition has been heightened lately. You are noticing small details. Tone changes. Timing changes. Energy changes. You can feel when something is forced and when something is aligned. This sensitivity is not accidental. It is heaven training you to recognize the difference between a door that looks good and a door that is yours. Many people miss their breakthrough not because it never came, but because they grabbed the wrong version of it too early. Anointed one, some of what is returning to you will come with emotion attached. Regret carries weight. Confessions carry tension. Apologies carry vulnerability. And while these things can feel validating, they are not the reward. They are information. Information helps you decide how to move forward without repeating cycles that once drained you. I learned this the hard way. I once mistook remorse for change, intensity for truth, urgency for destiny. That season taught me that alignment does not beg. It does not rush. It does not pressure you to abandon your boundaries to prove compassion. Chosen one. Heaven is not calling you back to who you were. It is calling you forward into who you have become. This is why the return of people or opportunities from your past feels different now. You are not smaller than them anymore. You are not hoping they see you. You already see yourself. And that is the real transfer. When your self-perception shifts, everything else has to adjust around it. Anointed one. I want to speak directly to the fear that tries to whisper right before change. The fear that says, what if this disrupts the balance I finally found? What if this costs me my peace? What if I mishandle it? That fear is not a warning. It is the echo of old survival patterns. Heaven does not open doors to steal your peace. It opens doors to confirm it. If something requires you to abandon your inner stability, it is not from God, no matter how familiar it feels. Chosen one. There is also a financial and practical dimension to this shift that should not be spiritualized away. Divine alignment often expresses itself through very ordinary channels: a meeting, a contract, a recommendation, a resource being released through someone who watched you quietly. Wealth transfer does not always arrive as sudden riches. Sometimes it arrives as access, sometimes as timing, sometimes as being positioned where effort finally produces return. Scripture shows us again and again that provision follows assignment, not desperation. Anointed one, you have been faithful with little without becoming bitter. That matters. You did not harden your heart. You did not cut corners. You did not sell your integrity to feel ahead. And because of that, heaven trusts you with more. Trust is the currency of real elevation. When God trusts someone, he aligns people and systems to support them without compromising their soul. Chosen one. Pay attention to how your body responds in the coming moments. When something is truly aligned, your body will relax, even if your mind is still processing. Your shoulders will drop. Your breath will deepen. You will feel present instead of anxious. That is how you know you are not forcing a door. You are walking through one that was already opened. I have learned to trust that signal more than excitement, more than fear, more than external affirmation. Anointed one, not everything that comes back is meant to stay. Some things return only to release you, to close a loop, to tell the truth so you no longer carry unanswered questions. Closure is a gift, even when reunion is not the outcome. And sometimes the greatest surprise is realizing you no longer need what once consumed your thoughts. That realization is freedom. Chosen one. This season is teaching you to respond instead of react, to listen instead of assume, to choose alignment over attachment. What is coming will require maturity, not urgency. It will require discernment, not drama. And you are ready for that, even if you still feel human hesitation. Readiness does not mean the absence of fear. It means fear no longer gets the final say. Anointed one, stay present, stay honest, stay anchored. The next movement will reveal itself without you chasing it, and when it does, you will not need to ask if it is real. You will recognize it by the peace that accompanies it, the clarity that follows it, and the way your spirit settles instead of striving. Chosen one, the door is closer now than it has ever been, and the way you walk toward it will matter as much as what waits on the other side. Chosen one. There is a deeper layer to what is unfolding, and it has less to do with what arrives, and more to do with who you are becoming as it arrives. Elevation exposes foundations. It reveals whether your strength came from survival or from alignment. And this is why heaven often slows the moment just enough for you to notice what is rising inside you before anything changes outside of you. Anointed one. Many people imagine breakthrough as escape, but true breakthrough is refinement. It is the moment when you no longer need to prove your worth through endurance alone. You have already endured. What you are learning now is how to receive without guilt, how to accept without shrinking, how to hold increase without apologizing for it. I remember the first time something good came easily after a long season of struggle. I did not trust it. I waited for the catch. That reaction did not come from wisdom. It came from conditioning. And heaven had to gently show me that ease can be holy when it is earned through faithfulness. Chosen one. This is why your current season feels unfamiliar. You are not fighting anymore, but you are not fully celebrating either. You are in between, watching, discerning, adjusting. That space is sacred. Scripture often describes moments where people were told to stand still and see, not strive, not rush, stand still. Because some victories do not require effort, only recognition. What is coming toward you does not need your anxiety to fuel it. It needs your presence. Anointed one, pay attention to how your desires have changed. What once felt urgent now feels optional. What once felt like loss now feels like release. This is one of the clearest signs that heaven has been working behind the scenes. When your appetite shifts, your future is close. You are no longer asking for anything to save you. You are asking for what aligns with you. That distinction changes everything. Chosen one. There is also something important to understand about the people who may reappear around this time. Not everyone returns because they are meant to walk forward with you. Some return because the chapter is closing properly now. When truth arrives late, it still matters. It does not rewrite the past, but it frees the future. You do not owe your growth to anyone who only recognizes your value once it is no longer accessible in the same way. Compassion does not require self-abandonment. Anointed one, this is where discernment becomes protection. I have learned that heaven will always confirm itself through consistency, not intensity. Sudden emotion fades. True alignment remains steady. If someone or something comes back into your life with pressure, confusion, or urgency that destabilizes you, pause. God is not nervous about timing. He does not rush his own plans. What is meant for you will meet you where you are, not demand that you revert to who you were. Chosen one. There is a financial and material expression of this shift that deserves honesty. You may notice that your relationship with money, work, or provision is changing. You are thinking differently. You are valuing your time differently. You are no longer willing to trade your peace for survival. That is not entitlement. That is stewardship. Heaven does not fund chaos. It funds clarity. When your inner world becomes ordered, your outer world can support increase without collapse. Anointed One, I want to speak to those of you who have been faithful in obscurity. You showed up when no one was watching. You learned skills without recognition. You built character without applause. And now you are wondering if any of that mattered. It mattered more than you know. There are doors that only open for people who can be trusted with what happens after they walk through them. Your preparation was quiet, but it was thorough. Chosen One, the surprise that is approaching is not random. It is connected to seeds you planted long ago, conversations you had when you were tired, choices you made when no one rewarded you, integrity you kept when compromise would have been easier. Scripture reminds us that whatever a person sows, that is what they will also reap. Reaping does not always look like reward. Sometimes it looks like relief. Sometimes it looks like restoration. Sometimes it looks like release from cycles that once defined you. Anointed One, you may feel moments of disbelief when things start to shift. That is normal. Let disbelief pass without feeding it. You do not need to fully understand a blessing to receive it. You only need to remain honest and present. When heaven moves, it does not ask for performance. It asks for trust. Chosen One, there is also a test of restraint in this season. Not everything you feel needs to be shared. Not every development needs an audience. Silence is not hiding. Silence is wisdom. Some of the most powerful confirmations happen privately, between you and God, before they ever manifest publicly. I have learned that speaking too soon can dilute clarity. Waiting allows truth to settle. Anointed One, your life is entering a phase where reaction will cost you more than patience. You are being trained to move deliberately, not defensively, to respond from discernment, not from history. This is maturity. This is readiness. This is how you carry what is coming without losing yourself in it. Chosen One, as the door approaches, remember this. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into order. You are not being tested to see if you deserve it. You are being trusted because you are ready for it. The shift will feel quiet at first, almost ordinary, but ordinary moments are where destinies turn when heaven is involved. Anointed One, stay grounded, stay observant, stay true. The next part of your story is not loud, but it is solid, and it will meet you exactly where you are, without force, without fear, and without delay. Chosen One, there is a kind of tiredness that does not come from doing too much, but from holding on for a long time without visible movement. It settles into the body quietly. You still show up. You still do what needs to be done. But inside, something asks, how much longer? This is not doubt. This is endurance reaching its edge, and heaven recognizes it. Anointed One, waiting is not passive when it is filled with faith. It is work that no one applauds. It is waking up and choosing consistency when enthusiasm has gone silent. It is continuing to speak with integrity when shortcuts whisper your name. I know this terrain well. I have stood in seasons where the promise felt alive, but the calendar refused to cooperate. Where every day looked ordinary, yet I knew something sacred was still forming underneath it all. Chosen One, the danger in long waiting is not giving up, but forgetting. Forgetting why you started. Forgetting what was confirmed. Forgetting how far you have already come. This is why remembrance matters more than excitement. Excitement burns fast. Remembrance sustains. When I could no longer feel motivated, I returned to what I knew was true. The moments when guidance was clear, the times provision arrived just in time, the quiet confirmations that did not need witnesses to be real. Anointed One, Endurance reshapes your relationship with time. You stop measuring progress by speed and start measuring it by alignment. You begin to understand that delays are not empty. They are full of adjustments you could not have made while moving fast. Your patience has been forming muscles you will need when the door finally opens. Strength is not built at the finish line. It is built in the waiting room. Chosen one. Some days faith looks less like confidence and more like showing up tired but honest. It looks like doing the right thing when it feels unnoticed. It looks like trusting that the same God who spoke the promise is also governing the pace. There were mornings I did not feel spiritual at all. I made my coffee. I answered emails. I took care of responsibilities. And yet, beneath that routine, something steady held me. That steadiness was not emotion. It was trust matured by repetition. Anointed one, consistency is one of the most underestimated forms of devotion. You have been consistent in your character, consistent in your values, consistent in not becoming bitter. That matters more than you realize. Heaven does not rush to reward intensity, it responds to faithfulness. When Scripture speaks of endurance producing fruit, it is not poetic language. It is a description of a process that takes time because it must be strong enough to last. Chosen one. This season is not asking you to manufacture hope. It is asking you to guard it. Hope does not need to be loud to stay alive. It needs protection. There is wisdom in not forcing yourself to feel inspired every day. Some days, it is enough to remain aligned. Some days, it is enough to not quit. That is not weakness. That is maturity. Anointed one, you are learning how to carry promise without letting it consume you. That balance is rare. Many people either abandon hope or obsess over it. You are being trained to hold it lightly, with open hands, trusting that what is meant to return will return at the right time. This posture keeps your spirit healthy while the process unfolds. Chosen one. There is also grief hidden in long waiting, grief for timelines that did not unfold as expected, grief for versions of yourself that believed it would happen sooner. Allow that grief to pass through without defining you. Grief does not cancel promise, it simply acknowledges cost. I learned that honoring grief did not weaken my faith, it purified it. It removed the need to pretend and replaced it with something more honest. Anointed one, faith under pressure often becomes quieter, not weaker. It stops needing constant reassurance. It rests in what has already been revealed. Over time, I noticed that the most grounded believers were not chasing signs. They were returning to simple truths that anchored them when emotions fluctuated. That awareness grew in me slowly, through repetition rather than revelation. Chosen one. There is a quiet reminder resting below, placed gently for moments when strength needs steadiness more than explanation, found in the description or the pinned comment. Anointed one, now return your attention here, because what you are carrying is not fragile. It has survived delay, misunderstanding, and silence. That alone tells you something about its origin. Promises that survive pressure are not human in nature. They are held by something greater than momentum. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of staying where you are while heaven finishes its work. Movement will come, clarity will come, but this stretch is teaching you how to remain whole even when outcomes are unresolved. That wholeness will matter when responsibility increases. You are being prepared not just to receive, but to sustain. Anointed one, the waiting has refined your voice. You speak differently now. You listen differently. You respond with less urgency and more discernment. These are not side effects. They are qualifications. What is ahead requires someone who can move without panic and decide without fear. Chosen one, as you continue to endure, remember this. Nothing has been wasted, not the long nights, not the unanswered questions, not the days where faith felt like muscle memory instead of fire. All of it has been shaping your capacity, and capacity determines what you can carry without breaking. Anointed one, the promise is not stalled, it is maturing, and so are you. The next movement will not require you to run. It will meet you in the steadiness you have built, and it will recognize you by the way you stayed when it would have been easier to leave. Chosen one. What begins to surface now is the question you have been avoiding without realizing it. Not whether the promise will come, but whether you are willing to live differently once it does. Waiting shapes patience, but arrival tests identity. Many people want the door to open, yet few are prepared for the responsibility on the other side of it. Heaven has been observing not just how long you waited, but how you lived while you waited. Anointed one, there is a subtle shift that happens right before change. You become more selective, not distant, but discerning. You no longer explain yourself to be understood. You no longer rush to respond to prove availability. You begin choosing silence over reaction, rest over justification. This is not withdrawal. This is authority settling into place. I remember the moment I realized I was no longer desperate for resolution. That was the moment resolution got close. Chosen one. You are being asked to notice how your inner compass has recalibrated. What once triggered anxiety now passes without attachment. What once demanded answers now receives space. This is not numbness. It is strength that has learned where not to spend itself, strength that has been preserved instead of wasted. Heaven does not give increase to those who burn themselves out trying to be ready. It gives increase to those who know how to remain steady. Anointed one, there is also a quiet reckoning happening around you. Not loudly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. People are reassessing their choices, systems are adjusting, opportunities are shifting hands. This is what happens when alignment changes at the root. You do not need to announce your growth for it to be felt. Growth has a way of speaking for itself through consequences and timing. Chosen one. What you may not realize yet is that some doors will open simply because you stopped forcing the wrong ones. Some returns will happen simply because you released the need to be seen. I learned that heaven responds powerfully when striving stops. Not because effort is wrong, but because effort without alignment drains life. The moment I stopped trying to prove my readiness, things began finding me without effort. That was not coincidence. That was alignment finally being allowed to work. Anointed one, this part of the journey asks for honesty with yourself. There are habits that cannot follow you forward. Not because they are sinful, but because they are heavy. Old coping mechanisms, old emotional reflexes, old ways of seeking validation. You have already outgrown them, even if they still feel familiar. Release does not always look like rejection. Sometimes it looks like simply not reaching back. Chosen one. There is also a refinement of desire happening now. You are no longer chasing outcomes. You are choosing environments. You are choosing peace over intensity. You are choosing depth over attention. These choices may feel small, but they are positioning moves. Heaven often changes direction, not through dramatic instruction, but through subtle preference shifts that guide you without force. Anointed one, let me speak to the moment that will come soon, when something presents itself clearly, a message, an offer, a conversation, a meeting. It will feel significant but not overwhelming. You will not feel rushed to decide. You will feel grounded. That is how you will know it is real. Urgency that destabilizes you is not divine. Clarity that steadies you is. Chosen one. The surprise is not designed to overwhelm your life. It is designed to integrate into it, to strengthen what already exists rather than replace it. Heaven does not tear down healthy foundations, it builds on them. This is why your discipline, your routines, your quiet faithfulness matter. They are the structure that will hold what is coming without collapse. Anointed one, you may notice that your prayers have changed. Less asking, more listening, less explaining, more trust. That shift is not spiritual laziness, it is intimacy. When trust matures, language simplifies. You no longer need to convince God of your sincerity, you simply remain available. That availability is powerful. Chosen one. There will be moments when doubt tries to revisit you, not because it belongs, but because it remembers where you used to be. When that happens, do not wrestle it, do not argue with it. Let it pass. You are no longer living from the same place. Doubt loses power when it no longer gets your attention. Anointed one, the responsibility that comes with alignment is subtle. You will be trusted with timing, with words, with decisions that affect more than just you. This is why your restraint has been developing, why you have learned to pause, why you have learned to listen beyond surface meaning. These are not personality traits, they are preparation. Chosen one. As this part unfolds, remain present in the ordinary. Wash the dishes, take the walk, answer the email, live your life. Heaven does not require you to suspend reality while it works. Some of the most significant turns happen while you are doing the most ordinary things. That normalcy is part of the grace. Anointed one, what is coming will not announce itself as destiny. It will arrive as opportunity aligned with peace. It will meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. And when it does, you will not feel the need to chase it or cling to it. You will recognize it, receive it, and respond with the steadiness you have earned. Chosen one. This is the threshold where readiness becomes visible, not through excitement, but through composure, through clarity, through the quiet confidence of someone who knows they no longer need to hurry. The next movement will confirm that everything you practiced in the waiting was not preparation for nothing, but for this. Chosen one. What unfolds in this stage is not about arrival yet, but about recognition. Recognition of how much has already shifted within you, even before circumstances catch up. You are standing in a quieter strength now, not the kind that announces itself, but the kind that does not need to be tested to be real. This is where many people grow restless, because the noise has faded, but the door has not fully opened. Yet this space is intentional. Anointed one, there is a sacred discipline forming in you, whether you named it or not. You are learning how to stay faithful without constant reassurance, how to continue with clarity even when nothing dramatic is happening. That is not stagnation, that is rooting. I have seen promises fail not because they were false, but because the person could not remain steady when progress became subtle. You are being trained to recognize movement that does not shout. Chosen one. There are days now when you do not feel especially spiritual. You are not flooded with emotion, you are simply present. And that presence is powerful. It allows you to hear what you would miss if you were chasing signs. It allows you to notice when something is off without needing to dramatize it. It allows you to rest without guilt. This is what maturity looks like in real life, not constant inspiration, but reliable alignment. Anointed one. The temptation in this phase is to interpret quiet as delay. But quiet is often confirmation. When something is truly being handled by heaven, you are not asked to manage it with anxiety. The urgency that once pressed on you has eased because your role has shifted from pushing to preparing. You are no longer trying to make something happen, you are making room for it. Chosen one. This part of the journey also clarifies who you can carry forward with you and who cannot come. Not through confrontation, but through contrast. Some conversations no longer fit. Some environments feel too small. Some expectations feel misaligned. This is not arrogance. It is growth. When your inner world changes, your tolerance for dissonance lowers. You begin protecting your peace instinctively, not defensively. Anointed one, you may notice that people interact with you differently now. They listen more carefully. They hesitate before crossing boundaries they once ignored, or they quietly fall away without explanation. This is not rejection. This is recalibration. Authority does not need to announce itself. It rearranges dynamics simply by being present. I learned that the moment I stopped over-explaining, my words carried more weight. Chosen one. There is also a refinement of trust happening. You are learning to trust yourself again, not in a prideful way, but in a grounded way. You trust your timing. You trust your discernment. You trust when something feels complete and when it does not. That self-trust is essential for what is coming, because the next phase will require decisions that cannot be crowdsourced. You will need to move without consensus, but not without peace. Anointed one, endurance has taught you something important. That you can survive uncertainty without losing your integrity. That you can hold hope without becoming obsessive. That you can wait without becoming bitter. These are not small achievements. They are the traits of someone who can carry increase without being consumed by it. Chosen one. Pay attention to how your prayers sound now. They are simpler, more honest, less dramatic. You are not trying to persuade heaven anymore. You are aligning with it. That shift matters. When your prayers become fewer but deeper, you are no longer bargaining. You are communing. And communion sustains you in ways answers alone never could. Anointed one, there is also a test of humility in this stage. Not humiliation, humility. The ability to remain teachable, even when you know more than you used to. The ability to receive without entitlement. The ability to acknowledge that what is coming is grace, not reward. I have seen people lose their way by confusing preparation with control. You are being spared that trap. Chosen one. The promise you carry has survived too much to arrive cheaply. It will not come through manipulation or emotional pressure. It will come through alignment that feels almost understated at first. You may even wonder if this is really it. That is often how real breakthroughs feel. They integrate into your life instead of interrupting it. They strengthen what is already there instead of demanding a total collapse. Anointed one, this is why you are being asked to stay present in the ordinary, to honor routines, to keep your word, to remain grounded. Because when the moment comes, it will meet you in your life as it is, not as you imagined it might be. And you will be grateful that you did not abandon yourself while waiting. Chosen one. There will be a moment soon where you realize you are no longer bracing for disappointment. You are open, but not naive. Expectant, but not anxious. That balance is rare. It signals readiness. It tells heaven that you can receive without losing yourself and release without resentment. Anointed one, let this phase do its work. Do not rush it. Do not judge it. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not being tested for endurance points. You are being shaped for stewardship. And stewardship requires a kind of calm that can only be learned through time. Chosen one, What is ahead will not demand a different version of you. It will meet the one you have become through patience, honesty, and restraint. When the door opens fully, you will not feel like you are stepping into the unknown. You will feel like you are finally standing on ground that recognizes you. Chosen one. This stage brings a quiet test that is easy to miss if you are only watching for dramatic signs. It is the test of trust without commentary. Trust when no one is affirming your pace. Trust when nothing needs fixing. Trust when you are no longer driven by fear of missing out, but guided by a deeper sense of right timing. This is where alignment proves itself, not through movement, but through restraint. Anointed one, there is a temptation to narrate your process when the waiting has been long, to explain yourself, to justify why you are still here, still steady, still holding the same values. But heaven is teaching you that explanation is not required when your life is already speaking. Silence, when chosen intentionally, becomes a form of authority. I learned that when I stopped telling people where I was headed, the path cleared faster. Not because I hid, but because I stopped leaking energy. Chosen one. What you are carrying now is not just a promise, but a responsibility to remain centered. You have learned how easily momentum can pull you out of yourself if you let it. This is why you are being asked to stay anchored in your inner life, not to withdraw, but to remain present. Presence allows you to respond instead of react. It allows you to see clearly when something is meant for you and when it is simply passing through. Anointed one, there is also a refinement happening in how you interpret success. It no longer excites you just because it looks impressive. You are asking quieter questions now. Does this align with who I have become? Does this require me to abandon my peace? Does this honor the season I am in? These questions are not obstacles, they are safeguards. They protect the work heaven has done in you from being undone by haste. Chosen one. There will be moments in this phase where you feel almost too normal for something big to be near. That is not intuition failing, that is integration. When something is truly aligned, it does not always feel intense. It feels right. It fits into your life without demanding that you become someone else to receive it. This is why you are being asked to keep living your life, not putting it on pause while you wait. Anointed one, you may notice that your reactions have slowed. Where you once needed immediate clarity, you now allow things to unfold. Where you once needed closure, you now accept truth when it reveals itself. This patience is not apathy. It is confidence that what belongs to you will not require chasing. I have watched doors open simply because I was no longer standing in front of them, demanding proof. Chosen one. There is also an invitation here to forgive without reopening doors that were never meant to be permanent. Forgiveness does not always mean reconnection. Sometimes it simply means release. You are learning that you can wish people well without re-entering old patterns, that you can acknowledge the past without living in it. This emotional clarity will protect you when opportunities begin to multiply. Anointed one, as things draw closer, discernment becomes more important than enthusiasm. Enthusiasm fades, discernment endures. You are being trained to listen beneath words, to notice consistency over charisma, to value alignment over familiarity. These skills are not dramatic, but they are essential. They will determine not just what you receive, but what you keep. Chosen one. Pay attention to the way your body responds when something is truly right. It does not tense, it does not brace, it settles. That settling is a language heaven uses when words would be excessive. I learned to trust that signal after ignoring it once and paying the cost. Now I recognize peace as confirmation, not confusion. Anointed one, there is a humility being formed in you that allows you to receive without needing to be above others. This humility is not self-diminishing. It is grounded. It allows you to stand in rooms where you once felt small without overcompensating. It allows you to accept recognition without letting it define you. This balance is rare, and it is why you are being trusted with more. Chosen one. The closer you get to the threshold, the less noise you will feel inside. That is not emptiness, that is readiness. When a decision no longer scares you, it means you are prepared to live with its consequences. When an opportunity does not overwhelm you, it means you have already grown into it. Heaven does not rush people into spaces they cannot hold. Anointed one, you are also learning how to wait without resentment. That alone sets you apart. Resentment distorts perception. You chose another way. You stayed open without becoming naive. You stayed hopeful without becoming desperate. Those choices have shaped your character more than you know. Character is what carries destiny when excitement fades. Chosen one. As this part continues, remain watchful but not tense. Available but not eager. Grounded but not closed. This posture allows what is coming to meet you cleanly. It ensures that when the moment arrives, you will not rush past it or cling to it out of fear. You will recognize it, receive it, and respond from a place of wholeness. Anointed one. This is not the season of dramatic declarations. It is the season of quiet alignment. And quiet alignment is powerful. It shifts outcomes without drawing attention to itself. It moves pieces you never touched. It prepares you for what comes next without exhausting you in the process. Chosen one, you are closer now than you have ever been, not because you pushed harder, but because you learned how to stay steady. The next movement will confirm that steadiness was not a pause in your story, but the very thing that allowed it to continue. Chosen one. This is the moment where movement becomes visible, not because you announce it, but because life begins responding differently to you. The ground you are standing on recognizes your weight now. Things no longer resist the way they used to. Conversations shift without effort. Timing aligns without negotiation. This is not luck. It is alignment expressing itself through ordinary reality. Anointed one, there is a calm authority settling over you that cannot be borrowed or imitated. It comes from having stayed present when nothing was happening, from having remained whole when outcomes were unresolved. That authority does not rush toward the door. It waits, knowing the door will open at the exact moment it should. I have seen this moment arrive quietly, disguised as a normal day, only to realize later that everything changed because of one honest response, one grounded decision, one moment of clarity that did not come with fireworks. Chosen one. What unfolds now will not require you to abandon your life to receive it. It will integrate into it. You will notice that things begin meeting you where you are, instead of asking you to chase them. This is how you know the season has shifted. You are no longer bending yourself to fit opportunity. Opportunity is adjusting to meet your capacity. Anointed one, there is also a release happening that you did not force. Old expectations lose their grip. Old fears lose their voice. You may still remember them, but they no longer control your movement. This is not forgetfulness. This is mastery. When something no longer dictates your decisions, it has lost its power over you. Chosen one. The arrival you have been sensing is not dramatic, but it is decisive. It closes one chapter without needing to explain why. It opens another without demanding you rush in blindly. You will feel the difference immediately, not as adrenaline, but as certainty. Certainty does not shout, it settles. Anointed one, You may notice that your discernment becomes sharper at the same time your compassion deepens. You can see clearly without becoming harsh. You can say no without guilt. You can say yes without fear. That balance is rare, and it is the result of everything you endured quietly. Heaven did not waste your waiting, it trained your responses. Chosen one. There is also a practical shift beginning. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel straightforward. You know when to engage and when to pause. You know when to speak and when silence is more powerful. This clarity will guide you through what comes next without exhausting you. You will not need to overthink. You will recognize what fits. Anointed one, the surprise you have been preparing for does not arrive to test you. It arrives to confirm you. It reflects back what has already been formed inside you. This is why it feels familiar instead of shocking. When something belongs to you, it does not feel foreign. It feels like recognition, chosen one. There will be moments when you look back and realize how many times you could have rushed ahead and missed this alignment. How many times you could have settled for something louder but less true. That awareness will not bring regret. It will bring gratitude. Gratitude that you stayed. Gratitude that you listened. Gratitude that you did not trade depth for speed. Anointed one, you are stepping into a phase where responsibility and peace coexist, where increase does not threaten your balance, where visibility does not demand performance. This is the result of having learned to live without needing constant validation. What comes next will not own you. You will steward it. Chosen one. Pay attention to how natural this feels. That is not anticlimax. That is maturity meeting provision. When heaven aligns something fully, it does not overwhelm the vessel. It fits it. This fit is the evidence you have been looking for. Anointed one, there is nothing you need to add to this moment. No declaration, no rush, no explanation. Simply remain present. The unfolding will continue without strain. What was prepared will reveal itself in layers, each one building on the steadiness you already carry. Chosen one. This is not the end of the journey. It is the point where movement becomes sustainable, where growth no longer costs your peace, where you can move forward without leaving yourself behind. And as you step into what comes next, you will know that the waiting did not delay your life. It shaped it into something strong enough to last. Chosen one. You are standing in a moment that heaven marked long before you understood the weight of it. This is not anticipation anymore. This is alignment. What has been moving unseen is now converging, and the transfer you sensed is already in motion. You are not late. You are not early. You are here, in your exact kairos moment, where grace meets readiness and promise meets capacity. Receive this with reverence, because God does not bring you this far to leave you uncertain. He brings you here to confirm you. Anointed one, let your heart settle into gratitude for what is unfolding. Stay faithful to the posture that carried you through the waiting. Stay aligned with the